Hey, everybody, this is Shane Smith, and you're listening to Texas Toast Podcast.
Best, so let's go.
We are up in Immigrant, Montana.
Great place, great people, great music. Like you walk away from there and you have a second family.
Yeah, 100%. We've played it back, through our 20s, and I don't know how many times we've played here. I think at least like probably 3 or 4 times or so. And anyways, but they've expanded it. It's much bigger than it was back in the day, and they've had it sold out over here for a little while, and so it's a cool feeling coming through here for the first time in 4 years or whatever. And I think they've sold like 1,500 tickets or something like that out here. It's a neat place though. It's just so beautiful.
It is a neat place. And what I found when I went to Montana was there's so many like country music fans, Texas country, red dirt. Like it's just such a mix. And I got to meet some musicians from there when I was there. So it's nice to catch up with you, Shane Smith. And let's do go back a little bit as we were talking about in the beginning, because I remember when first album hit, Ocean hit, I was in radio. But not only that, but I already had a friend that had been going to your shows that I fish with. And he was like at your shows, him and his wife were constantly going. He's like, Shane Smith and the Saints, get ready, get ready. And so here we go. The new music starts hitting. You started off with that. What was it like when you recorded the first album?
Uh, Man, it was a really long process. We originally, I had recorded an album on my own that was way, way, way back in like probably 2008, and but it was just me pretty much by myself with a couple musicians helping me out when I was in Tyler, Texas, and and then Coast was recorded while we were after I'd moved to Austin. We initially had gone and recorded it um, with a guy named Steve Collins over in Lockhart, and then essentially we were just super green, like we were just getting going and not really great with recording music, and we pretty much ended up re-recording the whole thing in Tyler, and with a buddy of mine, Bob Gentry. And anyways, so it was a very long, drawn out process, but eventually we got it done, and and then started trying to push whatever singles to radio that we could, and just try to get something out there, and that's when we started touring a lot heavier and actually getting out of state and playing, in different places outside of Texas and Oklahoma. And we had met the Turnpike Troubadours around then, like a year before then, probably 2012 or so, and no one really knew who they were yet either. And we would open a ton of shows for them, you know, all over, like in Texas and Oklahoma and Arkansas, Kansas, Missouri, different places like that. And that was our first time getting to experience anything like that, really getting to travel and play shows. And it's just a lot of fun and just really eye-opening period of time.
Oh yes, it was so eye-opening and it was so enjoyable to see the two of y'all together back in those days. And there's something still so comforting about listening to Dance the Night Away and All I See Is You. And I just want to talk about the birth of All I See Is You. How that song came about. How long did you have it before you recorded it way back then?
Um, so it was me and our fiddle player Bennett and a buddy of ours, Conley, in Austin. Those two had come up with the idea that they were going to write a song for their girlfriends at the time and record it as a Valentine's Day gift. And they knew that I knew how to record music kind of on like my laptop, and I had some mics and things like that. And so they were like, "Hey, do you care if we come over to your house and record?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's fine." And so then I was like, "Man, I should probably do the same thing." because back then we couldn't really afford any Valentine's Day gifts or anything at that point, and uh, so I ended up writing that song, and um, anyways, we all like recorded little demos of our songs or whatever, and then it ended up, and it eventually ended up being a just a really successful thing.
That is one of the best stories I've ever heard. That brings me to the next question. It's like, so with the music and the years you've had in music, and specifically talking about that song, so back then, when writing this for a Valentine's Day gift, did you ever think that fast forward many, many years ahead, that song would end up in one of the most popular TV series ever?
I No, I did not think so at all, and to be honest, we weren't even going to record it because initially, my wife and I try to be kind of private with our personal lives and stuff, and we're not necessarily like trying to post photos of each other on our social media all the time. A lot of people do that, and I think it's great, but we try to like separate it a little more.
Mhm.
And initially, that the intention was that was just going to be like her song, and like it's like isn't really exposed out there to the world or whatever. It's just kind of like our thing or whatever. And then once we were recording the album Geronimo, uh, we were pretty far into the recording, and then all of a sudden it was like, hey, we should really record that song. Like, I feel like that would help this album a lot. And so she and I had the conversation, and she was like, yeah, well, let's just maybe don't use it as a radio single. Let's just like maybe put it on the record if you need it on the record. Anyways, I felt terrible. But we ended up, and then our immediately when it was recorded, our radio promoter calls and was like, "That's got to be the first single," and so it just ended up snowballing into what it is today. And fortunately, it's just made our lives way better, and it's just helped us out so much.
Now it literally is a gift of a song to all of us. So thank you for that. So you have dropped a couple of new songs, Fire in the Ocean, which absolutely love, and Hummingbird. So does that mean, is that a precursor to there's some new stuff coming?
Yeah, absolutely. We've got a lot that we've been recording, and so we can't really say a ton about it, but we're just uh I mean, there's absolutely a new record that's going to be coming. So
That's exciting. Very exciting. So, and a big show that y'all you headlined at Red Rocks, that was big for all of us. And what I thought was so cool is that we're able to watch it like on your website. That was cool. There, you kind of shared that with everyone. That was
yeah,
huge for y'all. Yes.
man, it was so cool, and that was with our friends at Buffalo Trace Distillery. They sponsored for us to be able to live stream it and have it out there for the world. And unfortunately, the venue lost Wi-Fi like in the middle of it, and so there was like a 10-minute gap where the feed was gone. Um, but anyways, it came back, and it was a really cool night, really cool live stream, and yeah, we were just thankful to them for helping to pay for all of that and get it all make it possible.
Hmm. Let's dig in and talk about the band and your band members and just kind of like, different things and interests that y'all all have together.
So a lot of our guys, everybody's pretty active. um Normally if I'm in a new town, I'll normally go for a run around the town just to kind of go look at, just actually go see it.
Hmm.
And so that I really enjoy doing that. And then some of our other guys like Bennett, our fiddle player, and Dustin, our lead guitarist, they'll go get on bikes. They love like mountain biking and doing all that. So they'll go hit some trails if they can. Um, our drummer Zach is a great skateboarder, so he always goes and finds a skate park. And
All right.
Chase, our bassist, is really big with weightlifting, and so he and I will normally go to a gym or me, him, and Dustin will normally go to a gym together, and we try to do that every day if we're on the road. And anyways, yeah, so that's kind of like the breakdown. But everybody's really active for the most part when we're out.
Yes, and that's a good thing, and it kind of it's apparent because y'all have such a high energy show. Great that you're that active. So speaking of active and speaking of shows, you've got a big fall tour coming up.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. It broke up a little bit, but I think you were talking about the fall tour, and we just announced that, and so that's really exciting. It's covering a lot of ground. I know we're going to be, uh, in parts of the West Coast. We're going to be, from there all the way over to, um, like far northeast coast and up in Boston again, and a lot of places like that. So we're really excited, and what's special about it to us, a lot of these venues that we're getting to play are, um, it's like a step up from what we've been playing historically. You spend so many years doing bars and grills and things like that, and then you move up to like the like smaller music halls, or the very small theaters. These are the first ones where we're getting to do a lot of them are like, 1 to 2,000 cap theaters and stuff like that. And like getting to do like 930 Club in DC, which is an awesome one.
Mhm.
Italia Hall in Chicago. And I think it's Webster. I think we're doing Webster Hall, if I'm not mistaken, in Manhattan. Um, and anyways, there's a lot of really cool venues, and so I'm really looking forward to that. And
Yes, and not to mention the Ryman, also the Ryman.
yeah, yeah, definitely. And I've never stepped foot in the Ryman, so I'm really excited about that. And it's been sold out for a while, so it's
I know. I
gonna be a
know.
really
I had it on my radar and I knew it was going to sell out quick because I want to head that way. Like, and I was hoping that it would work out, but I'll catch a show sooner or later. So that's
no, yeah,
exciting stuff.
it's really exciting. And anyways, yeah, there's a lot of really cool stuff on the horizon. And like I said before, we're just trying to finish up recording a bunch of new music right now, and then gonna dive into that. We've also got like a really big show in Texas, in New Braunfels, Texas, that's called Whitewater Amphitheater, and that's our first time headlining it, and it's like I think it's like 5,500 people or something like that. So it's a big one, and or for us, it's a big one, and so we're really excited about that. We've played with Dwight Yoakam there. We've played with Ryan Bingham there, Randy Rogers, William Clark Green, all kinds of different guys, but we've never headlined it. So that one's
Awesome.
really exciting. I think it's August 5th, so it's right around the corner.
Well, speaking of y'all, headlining places for the first time, let's talk about how y'all are out now. You've been around, basically veterans now. Is there any of the Texas Red Dirt, Americana younger artists that catch your attention? Do you have time to visit with them while you're out and about, and maybe they're opening early for you?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've got there's always there's always somebody that's opening the show, and I really like to try to like go and say what's up to them and meet them, and I'll say this: there's nothing worse than being an opening band and just the headliner being a jerk to you, or like not talking to you, or not being
Right.
willing to have a conversation with you. And we've had that happen like so many times back in the day, and so you kind of have you become like hyper aware of that, and so
Hmm.
I like like really try to make sure that we take the time to go say what's up, and not let our schedules or our personal lives or whatever get too hectic to be able to at least go, try to listen to them for a little bit and hang out. And but yeah, we definitely always try to, you know try to hang with those local or younger talent, whenever possible.
Yes. And I can see you just naturally being like that. Speaking of younger talent. And I had been following him and had talked to his radio promoter, and we talked about his new radio single. And then I saw a video of you with young Tyler Smith.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
mean, it was like he's amazing for the age that he's at. I bet that was just something else for him.
No, 100%. He's a super nice kid, and you know, I've been seeing him for a good while, and it's really neat to see him dive into it.
Okay. Well, I know you've got so much to do and got to get back to it because I could like just sit here and talk to you and pick your brain even more and more and more. But Shane Smith, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast. And one last question before I say goodbye. If you were a cocktail, what would you be?
Oh man, if I were a cocktail, what would I be? Probably an old fashioned. I'm pretty old fashioned. Um, I I like fires a lot. It tracks old fashioned.
Okay. Well, we'll see you at a show. And again, I just can't tell you how much this means. Thank you so much, Shane Smith.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Appreciate it.